What is going on, good people of YouTube? It is me, Chavez, back with another Prize Picks video for you. Today is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, and we're talking MLB player props over on Prize Picks. As always, I hope this video finds you all doing well and in good spirits. We'll kick things off with a quick recap over yesterday's plays. Then we'll dive right on into the Prize Pick board where I have 4 player props that I want to share with you today. But before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you, or give a big thank you to you all for helping this channel get over 4,000 subs. And now we start looking towards 5,000 subs. But taking a moment here to catch my breath, celebrate a little bit, and just again say thank you all for the continued support, for stopping by the channel and just checking out these MLB content videos. I promise you they will continue to get better, as will my picks. So with that being said and out of the way, let us jump into our plays from yesterday. All right, 1 and 2 on the day. Let's break this down. So we had Jose Urquidy go under his 17.5 pitching outs, which is what we wanted. However, we had Chris Sale and Taj Bradley only combined for 6 strikeouts yesterday, all coming from Taj Bradley. Chris Sale did nothing yesterday versus the Orioles, except give up runs and hits. He didn't strike anybody out. So Taj Bradley held up his end. Chris Sale said, nah, you can miss me with that one. Then we had Adolis Garcia over 6.5 hitter fantasy score. Fell short of that. Ended the day with 5. Did not hit a home run, despite Great American Small Park being a very hitter-friendly environment. We had his teammate Josh Young go yard twice. He took all the home runs away. He took all the home runs, didn't leave any for Adolis Garcia. So unfortunately, a 4-bagger swagger and hitter fantasy score prop did not fall through as planned. But today we look to bounce back. We look to go 4-0 with our player props over on Prize Picks. So with that being said, let's transition back to the board and start talking about these plays for today. All right, so the first player prop on the board that I want to talk about is going to be a hits allowed prop, and we're going to talk about Corey Kluber. I like the over on his 5.5 hits allowed. Now, something to note with Corey Kluber is he is not the same guy that we saw in Cleveland back, a handful of years ago. I mean, ever since the injuries and his time out of Cleveland, he just hasn't been the same pitcher. He hasn't looked like the I think they called him the Klubot, Corey Klubot, because he was just a machine. He was a robot. Not anymore. So he's definitely a pitcher that we can pick on a little bit here, and I think we have a good offense to do that with. Let's head on over to props.cash and talk about this prop. All right, pulling up Corey Kluber's season so far, we got 4 starts to work with, and we have 2 games in which he did give up 6 hits, and 2 games where he did fall under that total. So looking at the 2 games, one of those games being against Baltimore, but that game was played in Fenway, which is also a very hitter-friendly park. So gave up a ton of production in that game. 6 hits allowed, 5 runs. He only struck out 4. He walked 4 batters. So just a really bad game from him. He only went 3 1/3 inning in that game. So didn't even go to full 5 innings you typically see from a starter. Now this game is being played in Baltimore, in Camden, and it's still a very hitter-friendly ballpark, but it is not as hitter-friendly as it once was because of the renovations and pushing that left field wall back, 25 feet or so, just make it a little harder, to go yard for some of those batters. However, we're talking about hits being served up here, not necessarily home runs, and that's something that Corey Kluber has done often this season. So even though he did fall under this prop in those 2 games, he's still given up. That's 9, that's 15, 19 hits in 4 games. That's a lot of hits to start the season off, and he gets to face a Baltimore offense that has some power. Young bats in there: Mountcastle, Rushman, Mullins, Santander. Some of these guys have really good splits in history versus Corey Kluber. So I'm looking for them to get after Corey Kluber a little bit in this game. I think we go over on this prop. 5.5 hits seems about right. 6 hits or more are going to be given up by Corey Kluber today versus the Baltimore Orioles. All right, for our second player prop on the board, let's talk about a hitter fantasy score. Andrew Benintendi, 7.0 hitter fantasy. I like the over on this one versus Jose Berrios and the Toronto Blue Jays. We're heading over to props.cash to break it down. All right, so from one Red Sox to another Red Sox, I still think of Benintendi as a Red Sox. So looking at his year so far, Benintendi has been knocking the snot out of the ball. Very consistent with his hits, game over game over game. He has 4 games this season where he has 2 hits, so multiple hit games for him. Total bases look good as well. I mean, 3, 4, 5 out of his 9 games he's had multiple bases. In terms of runs scored, it's there. That means he's getting on base. His teammates are doing a great job driving him in. RBIs on the season, 3. And then in terms of the strikeouts, like I said, just a good season for him so far. Knocking the crap out of the ball, getting on base, and just doing Benintendi things. Now, the splits versus Berrios are very good. So over 27 plate appearances, you got a 667 slug, 5 singles, 2 doubles, 1 home run, 1 triple, 2 RBIs. That is a nice stat line. That's a nice career versus Berrios. I will say that Benintendi is prone to the strikeouts. So over his career versus Berrios in those 27 plate appearances, Benintendi has 6 strikeouts. So I mean, that's roughly 25%, 20-ish percent. Meaning, if Benintendi gives us 4 at-bats today, 5 at-bats today, he's going to strike out at least 1 time, which is pretty typical, pretty standard. So nothing too, too extreme there. I like the over on this one. For all those reasons said, yes, give me the over. Benintendi over versus Jose Berrios and the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, for our third player prop, I want to head on over to the Rays and Astros game and talk about Wander Franco. They got his hitter strikeout prop up here twice. Well, we're talking about hits, runs, and RBIs in this video. I like the over on this one versus Luis Garcia. We're heading on over to props.cash to break this one down. All right, man, the Rays are off to a freaking start this season. Let's talk about Wander Franco, hits, runs, and RBIs. His fantasy score was up there for a while. Maybe too many people were hammering the over on that one, and they pulled it down. It was set at 7, and I really liked it because he's still he's good to get on base, and he's good for an attempted steal as well. So there's a possibility he could have hit that fantasy score in his first at bat, with a single and then a stolen base. But we're talking about hits, runs, and RBIs here. -120 to go over now. On the year, man, that last game against the Astros was phenomenal. And that's not why I'm picking this player prop, because he's not facing the same pitcher, today. He's facing Luis Garcia, who he has a fairly good career versus. 333 BA, 500 slugging percentage, a single and a double, no RBIs and no home runs versus Garcia. Now, this to me is a line that Wander Franco can't get over. And the way that Rays offense is stacked, especially in the top 5, he can get over this in the first inning, in his first at bat with a hit, and then having a Rosarena or Lowe drive him in, something like that. I'm just trying to figure out how this could piece together in a few different ways, or he can come up there and drive an RBI in and get a single and an RBI, double RBI. So a few different ways that Wander Franco can do this against a pitcher who does give up a lot of hard contact to righties. Give me the over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for Wander Franco. All right, and for our final player props on the board, we're gonna head back over to Camden Yards and talk about Adley Rutschman, hitter fantasy score 7.0. I like the over on this one because I'm calling it. Adley Rutschman is our 4-bagger swagger call of the day. I'm calling him to go over this hitter fantasy score with the home run versus Corey Kluber. That would work great because then Kluber will give up a hit and Adley Rutschman would check the box on his props. Let's head on over to props.cash and talk about why I like this prop. All right, heading over to props.cash, I do have Adley Rutschman's games versus Boston this season. And I want to talk about that first game back on the 30th where he did face Kluber and had himself a monster game. Now, a lot of these numbers here versus Kluber are going to be impacted by that one game. So his plate appearances, his batting average, slugging. I mean, he went nuts in that game with 5 hits. He had a tally of 8 total bases. He had 1 home run, 4 RBIs. He scored a run. He didn't strike out. Man, just an all-around great game from Adley Rutschman. But overall in that game, 5 hits, that's 5 at-bats versus Kluber. Very small sample size here, I know, but factoring in that, factoring in what we know about Kluber, feel like he's going to give up some hits today, going to give up some runs, production, walk some batters, putting Adley Rutschman in a spot where he can drive some runs in, get on base. Despite the renovations in Camden, still a very hitter-friendly ballpark. I like the spot here for Adley Rutschman and his teammates. So if Adley Rutschman doesn't get to Kluber, somebody else will. And hopefully by the time Adley Rutschman is up at bat, he'll have some ducks on the pond to drive in. So, all this looks good for Rutschman versus Kluber today. Home run odds, I did take a look at these. Nothing too crazy here. 625 to go over. Not the lowest, not the highest either. So definitely still feel good about this number, but that's not the only factor in picking this. It's just a good environment to hit a home run versus a pitcher who has given up a ton of production today, or a ton of production so far in 2023. Give me the over. Adley Rutschman, 7-hitter fantasy score, and over 1 home run, as he is our 4-bagger swagger call of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for today's MLB player prop video. Let's quickly go over the plays that we talked about. We got Kluber over 5.5 hits allowed, Benintendi over hitter fantasy score, Wander Franco over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, and Adley Rutschman over 7 hitter fantasy score, as well as a home run today. He's our 4-bagger swagger call of the day. Drop a comment below letting me know what you think about these picks, also who you have your eyes on over on that Prizepicks board. And as always, thank you all so much for the continue to support, the likes, the subs, the comments. It really does mean a ton to helping this channel get a bit bigger. As you see, we're already over 4,000 subs, pushing now towards 5,000. So thank you all so very much. Best of luck to you all today. If you tail any of these plays, drop a comment below letting me know. And until tomorrow's MLB player prop Prizepicks video, Chavez is